Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for July the 4th of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast that is normally hosted Monday through Friday on YouTube and podcast services around the world. But yesterday I was in the process of moving, and by the time that was all wrapped up, I was completely and totally wiped out, so I had no chance of making a coherent sentence, let alone an entire show going over the day's gaming news. But I figured I would make it up to you, because July 4th is happening this year, but we're kind of in the midst of this social distancing, no giant events time, so I'm just kind of chilling here. So I figured I'd go ahead and do yesterday's show today. Congratulations. Maybe you're in the same boat and you need some entertainment/information. This is going to be the way you get that. But regardless, yesterday we did have some very big news, and that is that Horizon Zero Dawn releases on Steam and the Epic Games Store on August the 7th. Yesterday, Guerilla Games announced the PC release date for Horizon Zero Dawn. The open-world game will launch on both the Epic Games Store and Steam on August the 7th. The developer also revealed some new features via the trailer for the PC port. This version of the game will include new graphical options and settings, letting players unlock the frame rate and play in super wide resolutions. It will also come bundled with the Frozen Wilds expansion. This port was first rumored to exist back in January, and of course a PlayStation 5 exclusive sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, was revealed last month. Strange calling June last month. It doesn't feel like July to me, except for the temperature. It's very hot. However, Horizon Zero Dawn on PC looks to be the exact game that fans deserve to be released on the PC. This is not just your simple port. This is something that has been built from the ground up for the PC audience. You have support for ultra-wide resolutions. You have very in-depth graphic customization. You have everything that you would get from a game built for PC bundled together for this PlayStation 4 exclusive that is now going to be coming to Steam and the Epic Games Store. We see a similar treatment coming with Death Stranding, which is launching later this month, I believe, for the PC as well. And so I think this is starting to set a precedent for what we can expect from PlayStation in terms of their PC releases. It's not going to be a simple port that you see from other companies. It is going to be something that is fully fleshed out. You are going to be getting that AAA amazing gaming experience that you get on the PlayStation 4 in the PC space. It is not going to be losing any of that quality or prestige just because it isn't on PlayStation's flagship console. And I think that you can probably go ahead and expect that Horizon Forbidden West, Forbidden West, is that what it's called? I want to make sure that I get the name right. Horizon Forbidden West, yes, is going to be coming to the PC at some point in the future, but you can guarantee that this is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive for some time. But regardless, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is going to be launching on August the 7th on Steam and the Epic Games Store for you PC fans out there. On top of that, rumors are beginning to heat up that Giancarlo Esposito is the Far Cry 6 villain. If recent rumors pan out, the Breaking Bad universe will be able to lay claim to two of Far Cry's key villains. Before his biggest break as Nacho Varga in Better Call Saul, Michael Mondo voiced Voss in Far Cry 3. Now it seems as though drug kingpin disguised as Chicken Man Gus Fring is ready to leave his mark too. In an interview with Collider, The Whole Thing is Embedded Above, actor Giancarlo Esposito acknowledges in passing that he's working on a major video game. Quote, "This video game I did, which is going to be huge, but I can't really mention it," Esposito says. "Everyone has just simply accepted that he is the Far Cry 6 villain. It is just what makes sense." However, in a now-deleted article, Game Reactor flat out states that Esposito's role he teases is, in fact, the next Far Cry villain. It's impossible to tell if this is some sort of embargo-breaking declarative or merely hyper-confident editorializing. If it's the latter, why pull the article? Esposito's alleged involvement is sort of putting the cart in front of the horse because we don't even know for sure that Far Cry 6 exists, but once again, everyone has sort of accepted that it probably definitely does. We are rumored to get a full-blown reveal during the Ubisoft Forward stream on July the 12th, and hearing Esposito's voice front and center seems exactly how this will go down. For a double dose of meth up Albuquerque, Mondo has also teased a return to Far Cry, so we might get two Better Call Saul stars for the price of one. "I'm so excited I could burn down a chicken shop," says the author. "I am in no way affiliated with any kind of arson. I just want to make that very clear for the future law cases." So, is this a good move? Absolutely. I love Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring in the Better Call Saul / Breaking Bad series. I'm a huge fan in general of Breaking Bad, and I think that when it comes to this individual, he is in a lot of ways like the main villain in Far Cry 4 because you do have this kind of complexity, you have this kind of sophistication, but at his core, he can play somebody who is a ruthless, just emotionless killer, and it's something that I think is really going to go far in the Far Cry series. I'm excited to see how it turns out. But regardless, if you are excited, you should certainly tune into Ubisoft Forward, which again is happening on July the 12th, and you might be able to get a look at the next Far Cry game, which I would say is absolutely happening, because both Far Cry 5 and Far Cry New Dawn, which are the most recent games, certainly performed well, and it seems like a no-brainer that Far Cry 6 would continue to be the move for Ubisoft going forward. But moving on, EVO Online has been canceled for 2020. Excuse me. Evo Online, not EVE Online. That's the giant space game. Again, very sorry. Evo Online has been canceled. Evo 2020 has been canceled following allegations of sexual misconduct made against Evo CEO Joey Kuehler? I'm not familiar with the Evo world, but let's go with that. Who was placed on administrative leave earlier in the day and is now being relieved of all responsibilities with the company and tournament. Earlier this morning, Evo released a statement saying, quote, "The behavior in these accusations runs directly counter to Evo's mission of building a safe, welcoming environment for all of our players and attendees." Over the course of the day, commentators James Chen and Maximilian Du tweeted that they would no longer be a part of this year's tournament. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, and other games were also pulled by the developers and publishers behind them. NetherRealm, the studio behind the Mortal Kombat games, said, "We stand in solidarity with those who have spoken out against abuse. We will be pulling MK11 from EVO Online." Over 1,300 people signed up to compete in this year's tournament, which would be held online due to the ongoing pandemic. Anyone who purchased a badge will be refunded, and EVO is donating the equivalent of the proceeds to Project Hope. You can read EVO's latest statement on the matter below. This is something that comes after a very tumultuous year overall. Of course, EVO was originally going to be held as planned in person, and then they had to essentially change all of the plans at the last minute because the COVID-19 pandemic has not seen a resolution, especially here in the United States, where some states themselves are seeing their peak numbers since the beginning of the pandemic. And so whenever you take the pivot that the team had to make into consideration, it was already going to be a challenge to get EVO online up to the standards that people would expect for EVO 2020. On top of that, these horrible accusations have now come out that essentially undermine the very fundamentals of what EVO stands for, and that's something that is very difficult to maneuver, especially when the CEO of the company is involved directly in these accusations, which is something that we've been seeing a lot over the course of the past few weeks. A lot of allegations, a lot of accusations have come out, and a lot have proven to be true, and a lot of horrible people have been identified and ousted from the gaming community, and those that have not been ousted are in the midst of conversations that center around what should be done about them and how we can move forward as a community together. So whenever you take all of these things into consideration, the future of EVO has been called into question. Will the event itself continue to be held going forward? Will the team behind it rebrand and pivot to make something new? I think personally that might be the best option because that seems to be somewhat of a fresh start, but knowing that the team that creates EVO behind the scenes is working on this new event could potentially be something that is a bit of a reassurance to fans that this is not going to end up like the last project, but there's also a part of myself that says this is part of gaming tradition, the event itself. It's something that should be cleansed in a way. It's something that should be regarded as an event that is held year after year that is worth continuing, and simply getting the bad eggs out of the basket could potentially be a fix. But again, there is so much to break down here, and I hope that they continue to address these concerns with the attention they deserve, because this is something that certainly should not be brushed under the rug. It's time to shine a light on the bad people in the industry and make it a better place to hang out, to make friends, to build communities, and to enjoy games together. That's something that I think is a unifying, universal concept that should not be even called into question. But to round out today's show, Microsoft is renewing the Fable trademark with intent to use. Definitely some interesting stuff happening behind the scenes over there at Microsoft. Aside from a short-lived card game, Fable has been asleep for years, but a trademark renewal suggests Microsoft could have plans for it in the not-too-distant future. Don't get your hopes up too much, though. Spotted by IGN, the application was filed on June 26th and is still awaiting examination. The renewal of a trademark just means the company is trying to hold on to it, as you would expect, but in this case it arrives amid a resurgence in Fable speculation, and perhaps crucially, Microsoft has also filed an intent-to-use application. Intent-to-use trademarks can be filed for things that aren't currently being used commercially. Microsoft does not have to do anything but make a good faith agreement that it plans to use the Fable trademark, in the future, but it does come with a deadline. After 6 months, Microsoft will have to file a statement of use or ask for an extension. To get an extension, however, it has to show good cause, making a sworn statement that it still has a bona fide intention to use the trademark in commerce, and it can ask for up to 5 extensions, putting it off for 3 years. Fable cropped up earlier in the week after a placeholder Twitter account was spotted, registered to a Microsoft email. Xbox Games marketing GM Aaron Greenberg brushed off the rumors by saying the account had been inactive for years, although the join date was March 2020. While Microsoft has not confirmed that anything Fable-related is coming, Playground Games has been attached to the rumored sequel for years, and I guess we will check again in 6 months. It's very interesting overall to think that the Fable trademark could be used. Of course, this is something that has been in a speculation kind of state for a number of years now, but whenever you have Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg coming out and saying that nothing Fable-related should be expected, that fans shouldn't get their hopes up, are they being direct and managing expectations, or are they trying to calm expectations for a giant uproar whenever the game is eventually announced during the July showcase, which is coming later on in the month? There are a lot of questions here that have yet to be answered, but ultimately, the fact that Microsoft is renewing the Fable trademark with intent to use certainly means that something is coming, just by the statement that you have within the, of course, move itself. So if we see a Fable at the end of July, I think it could be a launch game. And thinking back to Phil Spencer's reaction to the PlayStation 5 event, saying that after the showcase he feels very confident in the team's position, to be able to launch with a Fable game, or to be able to say that a Fable game is coming within the first 6 months of the Xbox Series X being released, that certainly would be a very strong contender for a console seller in a way to think about it like that. This could be a game that actually moves units off of shelves because dedication to the Fable brand is very strong. And in the very least, it could be a very massive PC launch as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but later on in the month you could be seeing some more Fable, and it seems like there is certainly going to be some kind of announcement coming in the near future. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about everything we talked about here today. But specifically, will you be picking up Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition on PC if you are a PC gamer? Or if you are on PS4, have you played it and what do you think? On top of that, what do you think about Far Cry 6 and Evo Online? Would love to hear your thoughts. Or are you going to play Fable? But you guys have a fantastic rest of your July 4th. I'll be back on Monday for a new episode of the Jampack Report, and of course for tomorrow's episode of The Drop, so subscribe if you are new. But until then, you guys have a fantastic one, and peace.